Hello, hi, my name is MomoMorgana and welcome to the One Base 8 Occult Sim Challenge. This is actually a challenge I did a little bit before. If you're new to the channel, I actually have the female version that I posted about a few weeks ago. So if you're interested in that, it'll be linked down in the description below and will be linked at the end of this video. But this time around, I'm doing the bane of every female simmer's existence, which is I made a male sim. Multiple male sims, I guess, one base, and honestly I think they turned out pretty good. I feel like I've been getting a little bit better at making male sims, so yeah. But let's just get into these guys right here. So I made some of the same occults as usual, you know, classic Sims 4 occults, but then I switched it up a little bit from what we see in my female version. So in this version I did a spellcaster, a ghost, a dragon hybrid, elf, like an elven elf, I guess, an alien, a mermaid, a vampire, and a werewolf. So to start off, we have our alien here, who honestly I think is my favorite of the creations, or at least one of them. I'd say he's my most favorite, actually. He was really fun to make, and so his personality, me personally, when I make my sims, I make them based off of the personality I give them. So I usually try to roll for personality first and then make them over to how I envision they would dress based on that personality. I know a lot of people do it backwards, but that's just how I roll. So this alien in particular, he's like a party guy alien. Like I imagine you can see him jumping from bar to bar, hanging out with people. He's rather friendly. You know, he's not stupid or anything like that. He's just a good guy to be around. Like he's a really good friend to those who he's friends with. He actually takes a lot of pride in his alien form, as my other female alien did. And so you probably won't really see him in his human form that often, but his alien form is so freaking handsome. I went with this like dark blue and purple type of situation for him, and I gave him like this skin tight, shirtless. Like he has no shame whatsoever. He doesn't need to, honestly. I think he turned out super cool looking, and I would definitely hang out with this guy if he was real. Next up, we have our vampire, and honestly don't remember what my female vampire was like, but this guy is a bit more gluttonous and cold-blooded than the other one, I think. I actually don't remember her personality traits, but I imagine him as being a lot more stereotypical, like he's almost Victorian-esque, but he does not shy away from taking what he wants, indulging in what he wants. He's pretty envious as well, so I imagine he sees some of the older and stronger vampires and wants to be like them. So he's trying to emulate that by acting all hard and tough, but honestly, when he has a friend or someone he cares about, he's honestly a comforting presence more than a scary one. But you know, who really wants to take the time to see whether or not he's going to drink from them or become their friend? Who knows? But I kind of went with this red and black classic. Well, gray and red, sorry. I went the gray and red instead of a red and black this time, but I think he turned out really cool. I imagine him being a little bit corrupted, so I don't know, his story is really interesting to me, so I really am excited to put him into my game into the future. Once again, this entire month I've been so inspired to just make and play with occults. So hopefully in the future on the channel I'll do like a little occult gameplay, maybe an occult baby challenge or more, we'll see. I need to get through a couple legacies first before I even start thinking about doing anything else, but this is him, and I think he's a cool vampire. I don't know if I like him better or my female version better, but I think he turned out pretty cool. And of course, we have our cute little mermaid here who, I don't know what I expected to make him over as, but honestly, as I was going through, I kind of struggled with him a little bit. I don't know. I think he's a pretty chill mermaid. I think he looks a lot more intimidating than he is. I remember the last one was more like a siren. She would like definitely kill you. But this one, he's just a chill dude. He's a loner. He's like a lovable loner, so I don't think he has a pod or anything like that. He's pretty, his color scheme reminds me of seaweed, right? So I imagine people see him and they're like freaked out. They're like, oh my God, this is a scary looking mermaid and he's gonna drown us and kill us. And he's just like, doing my own thing, blah, blah, blah. So he's not necessarily outgoing or anything like that, but he's super tender and loving to those he cares about. He's just a chill guy, honestly. No need to be afraid. No need to be afraid. next up, we have my little spellcaster who is, I don't know, he kind of turned out kind of funny to me. He is, honestly, has a shy trait, but I don't think he's too shy as much as he is just a little bit introverted, but he is our neat, shy, non-committal, kind of joyless spellcaster, right? I think he looks a lot more approachable than he actually is, which is opposite from some of the other occults we've gone over so far. You know, he looks like that fun, cool guy, but they don't actually realize he's he's a stickler to the rules, kind of. He's known to be quite a heartbreaker because he's non-committal, you know? So I don't know. I feel like he has a good reputation because people look at him and they're like, oh, you're a competent spellcaster. You seem like you know what you're doing. And he does, but he prefers to do it on his own, where things are nice and neat and he knows what's happening and he can control his magic and his potions and everything without people getting in his way. So I imagine he's a tiny little bit selfish, or not selfish, but not really heavily reliant on others. You know, so he can be a bit sassy if he needs to. I don't know whether or not he'd be a good friend or anything like that. I don't think he's definitely not a good partner because he's non-committal. So I imagine he gets bored pretty quickly and breaks some hearts, rather intentionally or unintentionally. I feel like he probably tells people in advance, hey, don't fall in love with me. You know, we're gonna have fun for now, but you know, if something happens, you can't be mad at me. And then they're like, yeah, sounds good. They fall in love, and then he breaks it off and they're like, no, how could you monster? And he's like, all right. But honestly, he seems pretty cool. He's a little bit corrupted. I don't know what happened, but he's kind of got these like black arm vein things going on. So I don't know, once again, because I made them and created some, don't really play with them, I don't really get a chance to come up with too much of a backstory, but just enough to kind of get the ball rolling on who these guys are as people. And here we have our little werewolf, who honestly is very different from how I originally envisioned myself making a werewolf. He seems a lot more regal. So this werewolf is actually, he's a perfectionist, he's egotistical, but he's also kind of shy and moody. So he expects a lot from himself and he thinks pretty highly of himself, but he doesn't necessarily want problems with some of the other wolves or anything like that. So I guess that's why he makes sure not to get into any fights or anything like that as much as he can avoid it. And I don't know, did y'all ever grow up reading those like Wattpad stories? Hear me out. Those like Wattpad werewolf alpha stories, and you know, a lot of the times they're like rich and like not that rough and tough. You know what I'm talking about? I feel like that's him, like that, the pretty boy werewolf that you would normally expect to see in a vampire, but he's the werewolf version of that. There you go. He's not rich, but you know, he's the werewolf version of that. And here we have my fae. I wanted to make a snow fae, like a winter fae. So I kind of gave him this like white and striking blue type of thing. I was looking at videos of like different fae lore, like Lord of the Rings? What? Lord of the Rings and things like that. So that was where some of my inspiration also kind of came from. it was a little bit difficult because it's hard to find art and depictions of elven characters that are black. So I tried to go as much as I could. But honestly, I think he turned out super cool looking, and he's definitely one of my favorites. I think he's my second or third favorite after the alien. The alien has my heart, but this isn't about him. So this Winter Fae is actually, he is from Mount Komorebi, I believe, because that's the only place that has constant snow. And he's actually a prince. He's tender, he's stunning, he's a bit timid and shy, so he likes to stick to himself, but he's friendly, you know? He's friendly, he's prince, he's next in line to take over the court and everything like that, so... I don't know, I just think he's so cool looking. He'd be like a cool guy to go on like an adventures with. Like if this was a D&D character, he'd be like obviously he'd be an elf, but I don't know what his class would be. Like a warrior, monk, perhaps? I don't know, I've actually never played D&D, but I want to. I know vaguely enough about it to say I can play it. But yeah, this is him, and I honestly think he turned out pretty cool looking. And here comes my ghost sim. Honestly, with the Sims update recently of being able to change a cult and create a playable ghost, as well as play with ghosts if your final sim in your household dies off, to continue living with them as a ghost. So how did he die? Because he died of urban myth, my personal lore for him is that he is a young-ish college-age student, probably like 19, 20 or so. He disappeared one day and no one ever found him or his body, and now he wanders around as a ghost. Clearly his death was not pleasant considering the amount of scars he's covered in, but he doesn't really remember it or who he was really. So he's mostly like pretty happy, he likes to have fun and makes the most of it, but something weird happens whenever he experiences some negative emotions, and he can't really handle it, and he doesn't remember experiencing those things. So his ghost, in my personal lore, cannot experience negative emotions, meaning he can't recall how he died, what killed him, or anything about his life before. Finally, I have I guess this is a dragon hybrid of sorts. I'm not sure if those are dragon horns or not, but they're gonna be dragon horns today because they're on them. But I wanted to make, I don't know, like a cool looking dragon guy. So I imagine he'd be like in his cave surrounded by his hoard of gold and treasures and everything like that. And unlike most dragons that you hear about in mythology, or at least Western mythologies, dragons, he's actually a pretty kind guy. He's comforting. He's kind of a nerd and geek about his hobbies. So not necessarily geeky like in the computer anime way, but I think he really loves lore and history and, you know, talking about stories and things like that. And, you know, he's a dragon hybrid, so I imagine he's been alive for hundreds or if not thousands of years, and he's seen and heard a lot and just likes to talk about it with people and just has such a good time. so these are my Sims, and I'm actually pretty proud of this work. I kind of struggle when it comes to making male Sims. I don't know why, like they're just not as intriguing, but I think having the amount of CC I have, one, and the fact that I'm making occults made this so much cooler to me. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more of my creative sim challenges, as well as any other videos I offer on the channel that are Sims and not Sims as well. And if you missed the female occult version of this, it'll be linked down in the description and in like 5 seconds at the end of this video. Bye!